This is the Widow Podcast, and I am Karen Sutton, the Widow Coach. I'll be supporting you through the loss of your life partner so you can find a more positive way through your grief. I want to give you hope after loss and to know that when you are ready, you can create a meaningful life for yourself with the help of me, Karen Sutton, and the Widow Podcast. Hello and welcome to another episode of the Widow Podcast. This episode comes out to you on the 1st of January 2024. So whether you are listening on New Year's Day or maybe a little while after, I'd like to give you a very, very warm welcome into 2024. I know coming into a new year is hard. It's really hard when you have lost your person, whether this is your first new year, your fifth new year, or your 10th. It can be a very triggering time. And I just wanted to normalize a little how you're feeling. The first new year for me after Simon died, I actually went to a party because I didn't know what to do. And I was okay up until we actually hit New Year. And then I hit a brick wall and didn't know what to do with myself. And the first few days of the new year were heavy. And then weirdly, I went into this space of excitement. I'd spent some time fearing the year and what that meant and moving away from Simon. And then I became excited about my future and all the possibilities and opportunities that lay ahead of me. And I remember going to see my counsellor quite early on in my grieving journey and expressing that I felt excitement. I felt like there was so much I could do. It was a really bizarre feeling and I felt weird having it. It didn't last long. I didn't stay excited about the year ahead for a very long period of time at all. It was a fleeting moment, but it was a nice feeling. And you may be feeling all kinds of things. The new year brings up a lot of emotion. It's a time for reflection. It's a time for thinking about the year that you have had, the memories you have made, everything that you have been through ordinarily. It is a time for looking ahead. It is a time for new beginnings, new starts. Like everyone goes into the new year with plans and goals and ideas of the things they want to achieve. And when you've lost your person, going into the new year takes all that from you and leaves you feeling very lonely, very apprehensive, scared of the future, and a real sense of sadness, feeling like you are leaving your person behind, feeling like you are moving further away from them. You know, it's even saying, isn't it? You know, my person died last year, or my person died 2 years ago. And that's horrible. We want to stay as close to them as we can, but time keeps moving. And that's a good thing, because if it didn't, we would stay in a place of deep discomfort for a very long time. But it's a hard thing to understand. It's a hard thing to navigate because we almost want time to stay still for a while. We want time to slow down. Grief does funny things to time. And I think one of the biggest things that I discovered helped me in the earlier days of the first sort of 2 or 3 years of my grief was actually not looking at the new year as a new year. It was just another day. It was just the world turning on its axis over another 24-hour period. And I just had to do my best to take the steps I needed to take to get through that day. And some days were easier than others. And that's all I could do. I couldn't think of it as a whole other year and looking ahead at this year and wondering how on earth I was going to get through it without Simon. So I just came back to the now, and it really helped me. It really helped me just stay present. lean into what was going on for me in the moment and figure out what I needed in that time, and how I could best support myself without looking too far ahead, without putting too much pressure on myself. And I would love to invite you to look at it in the same way, and just be present from day to day with how you're feeling and what you've got. It's good sometimes to think about the path ahead, and I think it can help us to think about, who do we want to be? How do we want to show up? Who are we? What do we value at our core, and what behaviors are aligned with our core values, so that we can show up in the best way that we can show up? But also, what did our person teach us? What would our person say to us now? What would their words of wisdom be? Would they want you to go into the new year feeling incredibly sad and heavy and fearful? Or would they say to you, do you know what? Like, you have a life, live it. I always have to remind myself of this, and less so now. I'm further down my journey. This is my 8th new year without Simon, and I still find it hard. I found last year's new year actually really hard, because my daughter found it very difficult last year. She was making big decisions, big choices, and she was struggling, and as a result, so was I. And again, like I do on Christmas Day, I'd take myself off and spend that time with my grief and with my sadness. But I have to remind myself that Simon would, it doesn't take away the pain, but remembering that they're not here. They don't get to live their life anymore, and we do. And I truly believe that that's a gift. Life is a gift. It's not always easy. It's not always fun, but it's a beautiful thing. And allowing ourselves to enjoy it in the best way that we can, to make the most of it in the best way that we can, to show up as the best version of ourselves, and to seek those glimmers, and to grab moments of happiness and love and peace and connection, and all things that fill our souls in some way, is to grab those opportunities. And yes, of course there's going to be sadness, but let's not stay in that space longer than we need to, out of a sense of duty or misguided loyalty in some way, because I think we can very much feel that we have to be sad. We can't possibly plan ahead or look at our grief as an opportunity to do something for ourselves, because does that mean we didn't love our person enough? Does that mean we're not grieving in the right way? And no, it doesn't mean any of those things. Grief is complex, and grief means a lot of different things. And for us, we have to find our own unique way, acknowledging the sadness and the heartache, also thinking about us, who we are, what we want, and how we can create something meaningful and beautiful again after loss. And we can. It takes a long time. It's a slow process. If you are in the very early stages, the first 6 months of your loss, that's not going to feel possible to you. It is possible, but we have to start with the steps that we take. And I think a lot of it is based upon the mindset that we approach our grief with. There's a strong belief that as we move forward in time, it takes us further away from our person. I felt it myself. I didn't want the time to move. I didn't want my grief necessarily to change or evolve in any way. I wanted to hold on to the pain. I wanted to feel it, because I felt that that was the only way I could stay connected to Simon, was through the pain. And I was so worried that the distance between him, his death, and my life moving forward, I felt like the greater that distance became, the less my love would become. and the more disconnected I would feel from him. And I didn't want to stop loving him. I was scared of not loving him. I was scared of not grieving him. I didn't want that. But it doesn't matter how much time passes. You don't stop loving them. You don't stop grieving them. It becomes easier to live with. We learn how to build a life around it. We learn how to navigate it. It becomes softer, it becomes lighter, and we become bigger. Our lives become bigger, and we discover things about ourselves that allow us to grow around our loss. And those things are really important, but it doesn't ever take anything away from us. It doesn't take away our love or our grief for our person. And their love for us continues to shine within us. They come forward with us on our journey. We are who we are because of them. They have shaped who we are. They have molded our belief systems and our values. And in some ways, it's because we don't want to be certain parts of them and how they showed up. And there's other parts of them that we loved and adored and want to take those things forward with us. So they are there. They are by our side. And it's leaning into those things and living a life and creating a life that they too can enjoy through your eyes. Whatever you believe, whatever you think happens to us after we're gone, it's nice, I think, to believe that they still get to experience a little of what we are experiencing in some way. So let's make it amazing. Let's make it the best that we can without diminishing or dismissing our grief and what's showing up for us. If you're, just feeling really heavy and really sad right now, that's okay. That's okay. Reach out, ask people for help, and find a group of people that can support you. I've talked a lot about my community, my membership, my 12-month program. There are so many amazing connections being made in these communities, and so much support is offered. And there's a lot of that, and I think allowing ourselves to find that support is imperative. Take some time to just acknowledge how far you've come, the progress that you've made. However far into your journey you are, you've made it to today, and that's not been easy. It's not been easy. You've just navigated Thanksgiving if you're in America. We've had Christmas, we've had the New Year. Wherever you are in your journey, like, these are hard times to navigate. You've had birthdays, anniversaries. It's all going on, and you are doing your best, and your best is absolutely good enough. And take some time to just think, do you know what? I've done well. I've done really well, because this is really hard, and I'm still standing. And I'm listening to this podcast because I'm seeking support, information, encouragement, tools, ideas. And that's incredible. That's being really resourceful. That's finding ways of supporting yourself. And you should be really, really proud of that. And when we're going into the new year and thinking ahead, be realistic and think about, what is it that you want to take into the new year with you that has been helpful and supportive to you in 2023? What is it you want to leave behind that isn't that helpful or supportive? And what do you need more of? What do you want to welcome in? Do you need to meet some new people? Do you need to try something new? Do you need to move more? Do you need to eat a bit better? Do you need to be kinder to yourself? Do you need to reach out and ask for help? There's so many things, and it's not trying to tackle them all. It's one thing at a time, always one thing at a time. Bite-sized chunks make it really manageable, really achievable for you. If you need to move a bit more, start with a 10-minute walk. You know, if you need to reach out for help, just try with somebody that you know is going to say yes, that you know is going to support you. Step out of your comfort zone a little bit and push yourself. That's where the magic happens. That's where we start to grow. That's where we start to really see what we are capable of. And that's what we need in our grieving journeys. It won't always work out in the way you want it to, but it will give you information, whether that's telling you something's not going to work for you or whether something is going to work for you. I had my 100th podcast come out a couple of weeks ago, and off the back of it, I decided to throw a podcast party. Now, if you haven't signed up to this yet, please do. It's on the 11th of January, and we, the podcast community, my widow community, we are going to walk into 2024 together. We're going to celebrate all our achievements. We're going to celebrate the podcast. We're going to celebrate each other. We are going to share wisdom. We are going to share ideas. We are going to connect. We are going to meet people and learn from people, because this is what we need. You know, walking into the new year alone, feeling like nobody understands is hard. So it's free. It's on the 11th of January. It's in my Zoom room. And I would love you to come and join us. You know, come and be part of something really special and feel what it's like to be part of a community of people that are walking a similar path and are trying to find their way forward in the best way that they can. It's hard to describe how powerful this is, and I would love you to experience that. And after my podcast party on the 11th of January, I'm going to be running Awakening Hope again. And I'm so excited about this. I loved doing this back in September. It's a 4-day free event that I run. And again, you are absolutely welcome. So please, I'm going to put the links into the show notes for my podcast party and for Awakening Hope. Awakening Hope will run from the 5th to the 8th of February. It's 4 days, different times each day. Sessions will be recorded and you'll have a week or so to catch up with them if you miss any of them. And I'm going to guide you through a step-by-step process which will help you going in to 2024 to think about what you need and how you can support yourself in your grieving journey. If you did it in September, you are more than welcome to come again. If you have never done it before, please do come and join us. It's such a wonderful community and it's all absolutely free. And if you decide you want more support off the back of that, Finding Hope in Widowhood, my life-changing 12-month group coaching program, opens up again in February. We start on the 19th of February and you are more than welcome to come and join us in there already. It really is amazing that the ladies that started in September have experienced huge shifts and made great progress. And it's a life-changing program. So make 2024 the year for you. Come and get involved in everything that I do. I would love to see you there. It's there. That the podcast party and Awakening Hope are absolutely free. And before I go, I just want to let you know there's going to be some changes to the podcast. As you know, I've had my 100th episode. This is my 102nd episode, and there's a lot there. There's a lot of value. There's a lot of information. There's a lot of support. And I love doing the podcast. However, I cannot sustain delivering a episode a week much longer. So I'm changing it. I will now be releasing episodes every other week. So every 2 weeks on a Monday, there will be another episode. I'm going to do 2 seasons of 10 episodes a year. So I will do another 10 from January. There will be 10 more after this for this season, and then I will take a break, and then there will be 10 more later in the year coming out every other week. I hope you will continue to listen and to support the podcast. I know it's such a valuable resource. It's a free resource, and there are so many episodes there now. So even if there's not one coming out one week, you have plenty in the bank to refer back to. And as always, I would ask you to like, share, and comment on this episode. It helps me to reach more widows and widowers. It's a really difficult time of year and people need all the support they can get, but not everybody knows that this free resource is here and it is invaluable and it shines light in the darkness for people. They can access it at any time, day or night. It's a friendly voice at the end of a line when you feel lonely, sad, and the grief is heavy. So if you are listening to this, please like it, share it, leave me a review, comment, go into groups that you're in, urge people to listen to it, because I just want more people to know that it's there. I want to help as many people as I can on their grieving journey. Nobody should have to do this on their own, and too many people are doing it on their own. I am sending you lots of love, lots and lots and lots of love. You are doing amazing. Never, ever forget that. One day, one step, one moment at a time. And you are finding your way forwards. You are creating something around your loss. And that is an incredible achievement. Be gentle with yourselves. I will see you again very soon. And thanks again for listening to the Widow Podcast. Lots of love. Bye-bye. Thank you so much for listening to the Widow Podcast with me, Karen Sutton. If you would like to be part of a supportive community of people who understand your grief, come and join my free Facebook group, Widowed and Rising. And make sure you tune in to the next episode of the Widow Podcast.